Shalom, grace and peace to you all from the Lord Jesus Christ. Today's video is going to be about what it really means to die to your old self and to live for Christ every day and to be a vessel for that light. And I'm also going to talk about what the real spiritual awakening is. You hear a lot in the New Age movement and other spiritualities about a spiritual awakening, a revival. And this is a very, very real spiritual awakening that happens to you within your own reality and experience. And I'm going to talk more about it. So to die to your old self, your old ways, it is to acknowledge that there is one true God that has a plan for you that's bigger and better and more perfect than a plan that you can devise on your own time and in your own mind. It is to literally put your own will down, your own mind's frustrations, complications, all of that. It is to put that down and to surrender it to a much, much higher source and spirit. There's a huge difference between believing God, and then believing God and acting on it, and acting as if we are children of God. To act on those beliefs, it is to die in your old ways. It is to put away the lies, the deception, any kind of lust or fleshly way in which you walked in before. It is to put those down and to be reborn of the Spirit, to act in a whole different spiritual manner. Paul once said, "I die daily." So dying is a daily thing or even a moment-to-moment thing. And it recognizes that you were once one way and now you are a completely different way. And that thing that happened in between, it was this spiritual awakening. It was Christ. It was something that touched your heart and literally radically changed your perception, changed the way you think and feel. To die to your old self is so important because it's the very act of submitting your will, your thoughts, your being to your Creator, the Most High God. It is how we humans live out our faith and prove with our thoughts, deeds, and conscience that we are choosing to trust God instead of let these burdens and problems weigh on our own hearts. We are choosing to put it in the hands of the Lord who made us. Let me explain this transformation in terms of energy for all of you New Agers out there. When you were one way before in your old ways, the Bible says you were born of the flesh. Thus, your vibration was at a lower frequency. Because we are born into bondage of our flesh. This is what Paul talks about so much. And so the product of our minds, it's fleshly and carnal. Romans says, to be carnally minded is death, because the carnal mind, it cannot be subjected to the law of God. Romans 8:13 says, for if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you put to death your old manner, you will live. This is what I mean when I'm saying to die every day. When Jesus or God personally enters into our life, the way we perceive all things completely change. Christ entering into our lives is not a subtle or discreet thing at all. We become a new creation and a new way. We become a new product. Instead of being born of the flesh, we are spiritually awakened. This is the real spiritual awakening I'm talking about. We become now born of the Spirit, and our vibration is literally higher. And guess what? Why is our vibration higher? Because we are now vessels of the Most High God. We are vessels of the same exact Spirit that was here from the foundations of the earth. The same Spirit that made you. The same Spirit that named you. The same Spirit that already has all of His purposes and plans designed and set out for you. It's up to you to surrender to that will of that Spirit. His will, not your own. His. That's what it means to die every day. It's to remember He has a will, and it's outside of whatever you're thinking of in your own mind. You have to die to your old mind. Forget whatever thought keeps arising. Forget whatever desire and seek that presence of light. And then it will literally capture, swallow up that darkness, because the light always is stronger than darkness, than any kind of demonic, dark, depressive thought that's going in your being. So, yes, we now become aligned with the source of source itself, and therefore resonating at the potential highest frequency. This is the supposed goal in New Age spirituality and meditation, but the real spiritual awakening, the realization that we are vessels of God's Spirit, can only come when you actually experience and encounter God's Spirit. This is why we cannot have a spiritual awakening when we decide to meditate on thoughtlessness or try to align our chakras or do yoga postures. That is not how we come in contact with the Spirit. It is a supernatural experience, extraterrestrial even, if you want to consider the heavens being out of earth. It is a supernatural experience, an encounterment with God. It's all, and every single person has a unique, beautiful story as to how they came across why God is the truth and how God is the truth. And it comes when you decide to make the decision to invite God personally into your life, when you are ready in your own experience, because we got a lot going on in our minds. Most people are so focused and busy on their lives that it will take a long, long time for them to want to die. They don't want to die yet to their old selves. They still want to party it up and want a lot of living to do until they realize that it was all in vain. It was all in vanity if it had nothing to do with God and God's kingdom. So let me give you a practical example of this. In my own life, since Christ has appeared himself to me as the truth and has called me by my name, I can now understand my nature so much better. When I can remember Christ and his Spirit that redeemed me, I remember that I am energy and I am nothing except a product of his creation. I am his. I belong to light. I am not Satan's pet. I belong to him. And so if you belong to him, then you're going to start looking at everything in terms of energy and spirit, or this is what happened in my life anyway. My perception radically changed. And it was so easy now for me to remember that I'm actually energy and spirit and really just a vessel of God's work. So your mind perceives life in an entirely new way, and you are indeed a new way. Because if you change how you think, then you change how you feel. And if you are no longer what you used to think and what you used to feel because of this amazing thing called God that happened to you in your life, then you are indeed a whole new creation. You're not what you used to think. You're not how you used to feel. You're new. He named you, and he did buy you at a price. And so, by being called into Christ's light, we want our actions and mental discipline to adhere to this renewed spirit and mind that he has given us. It's a gift from him. It's nothing that we did on our own. It's nothing that a yoga asana can carry and bring to us. It is literally all under grace through faith. So this is why we must die daily and humble ourselves to his power and his will. To truly, really die to your old self is to recognize that there is one true God and only one correct path for you to take. Dying to your old self is accepting that there's only one right way and a million wrong ways. It is dying to your old mind's ways of handling problems and situations. You have to remember what Christ did for you. You have to remember you are no longer bound to sin, bound to Satan. You are literally a new being. So everything changes when that happens. We have to put our active trust in the one who made us, because his plans will bring us the highest happiness, the highest fulfillment, and the greatest purposes in our lives. Because we are in the flesh, Unright thoughts will still continue to pop in our minds. We still have these bodies. We're not going to be perfect, but it is up to us to remember, like I said, what God did for us on the cross and how God personally saved you and revealed to you that He's the truth. Remember that He redeemed you and that you belong to Him. And then you can understand how to win this spiritual fight of light and darkness. And the way to win the fight between Christ and Satan is to die to yourself. It's to put your old ways of being down. And to let Christ be our light and our armor. This act shows that we want to be a vessel for the living God and proves that we in fact are an entirely new creation, because our old self would not have handled the situation in that way. It wouldn't have looked to Christ. It would have maybe it would have felt bad for itself, been in disparity, instead of an attitude of thanksgiving and gratitude and thanking God for your problems, because actually your problems just bring you closer to Him and relying on the dependence that you have on Him. So if you are unhappy in life, then you need to recognize that your mind's old ways of handling and viewing things are not working. I see many people right now at this time on earth with mental health issues. And so it is up to us to find a new way of thinking if our old way, if our old mind is failing us. And I'm sitting here to tell you firsthand that new way is Christ. Christ is the new way because He will make you new. Self-help is no help because we humans are finite. How are we supposed to help ourselves with the same minds that brought us into this destruction in the first place? I'm telling you that the only real solution to depression is God. We need the higher power, not a higher power, but the higher power to enter into us and show us and teach us what real life is about and what real living looks like. Because real living, we're not supposed to be depressed. I've felt what it feels like to really live, and depression ain't on the list. Does dying to your old self and ways mean that you will no longer be tempted? No, of course not. We're still in the flesh. We're going to have problems and tribulations and hardships. But the way that you handle them is different because you're a new creation. Instead of you trying to use your own strength that you have, you now are looking to God's presence. You're now using God's unlimited resources to help you in your finite problem. And things will change. The Spirit will show you how to react or resolve problems. And this is exactly how your character changes, by dying to yourself daily, this very thing. Paul says in Ephesians, I'm going to wrap it up, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart. So you have to open your heart and your ears and your mind if you want to see real change happen in your life. If you want to be happy, you have to really open your heart. Then Paul says in Colossians, the next chapter, set your mind on the things above. That is the secret to being happy, not on the things of the earth. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. This is what it means to die daily. Your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, when He comes again, then you also will appear with Him in glory. So put on the new man, who is renewed in knowledge, according to the image of Him who created you. I cannot tell you what a gift it feels like to be renewed in knowledge according to the image of the one who created me. It feels amazing, and it can happen to you, and I hope and pray that it happens to every person watching this video. So, have a beautiful day. Shalom.